The wind whistled across the empty plains as James Turner stood by the fence line, staring at the fading sun. For 12 years, he had lived with the ache of loss, believing the fire that burned down their wagon had taken his wife, Eliza, with it. The loneliness had settled deep inside him, shaping every silent morning and every sleepless night on the ranch. He had learned to live with ghosts, but never stopped whispering her name when the stars came out. Most folks in town called him the quiet widower. He didn't mind the name, it hurt less than pretending. His ranch, once alive with laughter and dreams, now echoed with nothing but the creak of windmill blades and the shuffle of his boots. The horses were his only company, and though they listened, they never answered back. Still, he worked, built, and endured, because the land was all he had left of her. One afternoon, while repairing a broken gate, James heard the faint sound of a wagon approaching. He squinted into the dust, expecting a trader or a lost traveler. But instead, a woman stepped down, her dress worn but clean, her eyes filled with purpose. Behind her stood two little girls, no older than 6, holding hands tightly, their hair catching the sunlight like threads of gold. Something about them struck him, something he couldn't name yet. The woman approached slowly. "Mr. Turner," she asked. "I'm from the orphanage in Clearwater. These girls, they have something to tell you." James frowned, setting his tools aside. The girls looked up at him with wide, curious eyes, shy but unafraid. Their resemblance to someone he once loved hit him like a quiet storm, those same blue eyes, that same tilt of the chin. It couldn't be. Before he could ask, the older twin stepped forward. Her voice trembled as she said, "Sir, Mama told us if we ever found the man in the picture, to call him Daddy." The words hung in the air like thunder before rain. James froze, his heart hammering, the world tilting beneath him. He opened his mouth to speak, but the only sound that escaped was a sharp breath of disbelief. He knelt to their level, eyes searching their faces. "What did you just say?" The younger one clutched her sister's hand tighter. "Mama said you were lost but not gone. She said someday, we'd find you." James's throat tightened. He reached for his wallet and pulled out an old, burned photo, the only remnant he had of Eliza. His hands shook as he showed it to them. "This woman, is she your mother?" Both girls nodded eagerly. "Yes, sir. That's Mama. She said your name was James Turner." The rancher's world cracked open in that instant. His knees hit the dirt as the truth stormed in. Eliza was alive, or had been alive long enough to give him these daughters. Questions, pain, and hope twisted together until he couldn't tell one from the other. The woman from the orphanage stepped forward gently. "They've been in our care since last winter. Their mother, she passed away a few months ago. Before she did, she left a note, saying their father lived on the Turner Ranch near Hollow Creek." James felt his breath leave him. A note, a message, proof that Eliza had lived, and loved him enough to send their daughters home. He rose slowly, his hat clutched to his chest. The world around him felt distant, unreal. "You're saying, they're mine." His voice cracked, heavy with both wonder and pain. The woman nodded. "They are, Mr. Turner. They've traveled far to reach you." He looked at the girls again, two small miracles standing on his dusty land, carrying the face of the woman he thought he'd buried long ago. The twins watched him carefully, unsure if they were welcome. James knelt again and opened his arms. "Come here," he whispered. They hesitated only a second before running forward, crashing into his embrace. For the first time in years, tears broke free from his eyes, falling onto their soft hair. The land that had been dead and silent for so long suddenly felt alive again, with laughter, with warmth, with something dangerously close to hope. That night, the ranch that had known nothing but silence for years came alive with tiny voices and the sound of new life. James cooked for the girls himself, burning the stew, oversalting the bread, but they giggled anyway, telling him stories about their mother. Each word they spoke painted pictures of Eliza he had never known, how she sang to them under the stars, how she told them their father was brave, kind, and building a place for them. Every story felt like a piece of her soul returning home. After tucking them into bed, James sat on the porch, the night air heavy with memories. He unfolded the letter the orphanage matron had given him, Eliza's final words. Her handwriting was shaky but familiar. "If you're reading this, James, it means I couldn't find my way back. But I want you to know I never stopped loving you. Our girls are brave. Teach them the strength you once taught me. Tears blurred the ink as he pressed the paper to his chest. Over the next few days, life on the ranch began to shift. James found himself waking before dawn, not out of habit, but to make breakfast for two sleepy girls who loved to chase chickens and ask endless questions about everything. He built them small saddles for the ponies, taught them how to ride, and told them stories about their mother's laughter, how it could make even a storm feel soft. The ranch, once a grave of memories, was breathing again. One afternoon, while the girls played near the old oak tree, James went through a box of Eliza's old belongings the orphanage had sent along. Inside, he found a small locket. When he opened it, his heart nearly stopped. On one side was his photo, taken before the fire, and on the other, a tiny drawing of their family, including two little girls. She had known she was carrying them, even back then. All those years, while he grieved her, she had been living for them. That night, the storm rolled in hard and fast. Thunder shook the windows, and one of the girls, little May, cried out in fear. James rushed to their room and held both girls tight in his arms. "You're safe," he whispered. "Daddy's here." The word daddy sounded strange on his tongue, like something sacred he hadn't earned yet. But the girls relaxed instantly, trusting him completely. For the first time, he realized they weren't just his daughters by blood, they were his purpose. In the following weeks, the ranch transformed. Flowers bloomed again in Eliza's garden, laughter returned to the house, and even the animals seemed to sense the change. People in town began to notice too. Some couldn't believe James Turner, the widower who never smiled, now came to the market with twin girls perched on his wagon, both calling him Daddy, loud enough for everyone to hear. He didn't care about the whispers, he'd already been given a second chance life rarely offers twice. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, the twins ran up with a question that froze him. "Daddy, can we see Mama's grave?" He swallowed hard but nodded. Together, they rode to the small hill behind the ranch, where he had built a wooden cross years ago, believing Eliza lay beneath the earth. He knelt with them, the girls placing flowers at the base. "She's not gone," he said softly. "Every time you smile, she's right here." The wind swept across the hill gently, and for a fleeting moment, James thought he heard her voice, soft, loving, proud. Maybe it was just the wind, or maybe it was something more. He looked at the twins and saw Eliza in their eyes, their strength, their laughter. The ache that had haunted him for years began to fade, replaced by something warmer, something whole. When they returned home, the stars were out, and the ranch glowed with lantern light. The twins dozed on his shoulders as he carried them inside, whispering to them promises he never got to make to Eliza. "I'll protect you both. I'll raise you brave. And I'll tell you every day how much she loved you." He laid them in bed, kissed their foreheads, and for the first time in years, whispered a prayer, not of grief, but of gratitude. Outside, the night stretched wide and peaceful, the same sky Eliza had once stared at, perhaps wishing he could see it too. And now he did, not alone, but with two pieces of her heart sleeping safely under his roof. The widowed rancher who once lived with ghosts finally found life again, not in the past but in the future that called him Daddy.